Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonah from Spotlight, and today, super stoked, we're going to be talking to Darnell. Darnell, how you doing today?
Doing well, my brother. Doing well.
Yeah,
Doing
super
good.
stoked to dive in. Before we get started, though, I just want to make sure everyone's in the right place, has their expectations set. So hop in the comments if you're with us and let us know where you're tuning in from. Make sure you can hear and see us all right. Holler out maybe how you heard about Darnell, how you heard about Spotlight. We love hearing all of that. Something you're excited to learn today. And if you're watching the replay, do the same thing. Pop down into the comments. Let us know all about you. We do come back and love seeing who you are, where you're tuning in from, what you learned. We love just seeing those interactions. And feel free to ask any questions throughout Darnell's presentation. We are going to do our best to answer them as we go. But if we don't answer your question right away, we are not ignoring you. We have set aside time at the end specifically for a Q&A where we can get through all those questions. So drop them in the comments when you have them. If it seems like we missed it, drop it in the Q&A and we'll make sure to get to all of that. And last but not least, if life is happening around you, Darnell's moving fast, you have to get up from the computer, anything like that, don't fret. There will be a replay available. It'll be here on YouTube. It'll also be on the Spotlight event page, and it'll be emailed to you along with the course offer, which we'll talk about a little later. And then just to make sure that everyone is in the right place, like I said, we are talking to Darnell today, and we are going to be talking about how to optimize your time, three simple frameworks to take back your schedule and boost your performance. In this workshop, we will help you invest your time like money, since time management is vital to 81% of small business success. You'll learn the exact strategies that Darnell has been using for the past few years to 5 times his performance each week. By combining these three frameworks, you'll optimize your time and your business. Darnell, I'm super stoked for this. This is event 2 of the day that's all focused about optimizing and scheduling your time better. So I feel like I'm going to be optimized by the end of today. But super stoked to dive in, and I don't want to take up any more time. We got people tuning in, so I'm going to hand it over to you and let's dive in.
All right. All right. So, okay, cool. And let me just blow this thing up if I can, or make this a little bit larger. Okay, cool. So I got my controls. All right. Yeah. Thanks for the warm introduction, Jonah. I
Of
appreciate
course.
that. And thanks in advance to our attendees. Again, this is the Optimize Your Time event. So, three simple frameworks to take back your schedule and boost your performance and your productivity. All right. Again, again, I'm Darnell Brown. I'm growth strategist and educator at Bulletproof Hustle. And what I do is I help aspiring entrepreneurs and today's leaders. I help them harness their superpowers, save time, and impact lives using a gumbo of clarity, empathy, and strategy. So these are a few of the companies, the larger companies that I've worked with over the years in various capacities as a graphic designer, marketing guy, creative director, copywriter, helped out with ads. If it has to do with design or creativity, I probably did it over these past 14 years. All right. So what you're going to learn today, these three simple frameworks to take back your schedule. One, you're going to learn how to budget your time like money. Two, how to focus intently on just one thing at a time and why that's critical in today's age. And then three, how to base each workday in your week around a theme to improve your productivity. Now, let me know in the chat here which one of these three you're most excited about learning. How to budget your time like money, or most interested in the thing that you're struggling with the most. If you struggle with focus, or if you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off and doing too many different things on each work day in your week, let me know in the chat which of these three. And then Jonah, if you want to chime in and give people a few moments to see if we're getting any twos or threes or ones, and this way I can
Yeah.
know where I should spend a little bit more time just in case.
Well,
Um,
I know for myself, I'm a business owner as well, and then also work as a contractor and all of that. I also am every day coming up with a new idea about what's the next thing I gotta
Okay.
focus on.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
super stoked about the how to focus intently and work on one thing at a time, because
Okay.
it always feels like you got to work on a little bit of everything every day, but then you don't really get
Yeah.
anything done.
Yeah.
And we're
Okay.
getting a lot of, we got Brandon is saying one thing at a time, definitely. Nada
Okay.
is saying focus. We got budget time like money. Honestly, Darnell, it looks like we all need help with all of these things.
Yeah, yeah. With focus being kind of a clear highlight, so I'll make sure to spend
Yeah,
an extra moment or two on that one. So I appreciate
yeah,
y'all for chiming in there and letting me know which ones really stick out to you and which ones you really need some help with. So this course is going to be great for entrepreneurs on every side of the scale, whether you're a Fortune 500 company or working at like starting your first mom and pop, whatever it is. I've always designed my courses to speak to all entrepreneurs, but this one is going to be great for people that fall in these camps of either professionals, students, early grads. You might be an aspiring entrepreneur, side hustle, or you may be in full business mode as a solopreneur or small business. And so let me know also in the chat which of these camps most describes which one you're in. If you are just now graduating or on your way out, or you might be an aspiring professional, an aspiring entrepreneur. You might be testing out a few different things, might have one foot in the corporate world, one foot out of it, or if you're all the way into this thing. So let us know in the chat. And I know Jonah will let me know as you all chime in where you all fit in this one, because I want to know who's in the audience and which of which of these categories y'all are in as we go through this here.
yeah. We're getting a few. We're getting like a lot of people who are solopreneurs and small
Okay.
businesses.
Okay.
But man, I want to call out. It also seems like this is just useful if you're just trying to get your stuff together, right? So it's
Yeah.
yeah, whatever it
This is-
is, you're just building like the tools to actually do what you want to, what you need to do to get to a goal, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Love
And
it.
and I appreciate y'all letting me know. I appreciate this, Jonah, because it's always good to know where people stand and who's in the audience. So I thought that this would be really good for you. I really wanted to design this especially for you all.
Yeah.
So let me give you give you all just a bit of context on who I am, because I always think it's important to get to know who our educators are and how, if we can relate to them. So some of my misfires were going back to 2008, around the time of the Great Recession. This was right before then. I had ascended to the point where I couldn't go any further at my first and only graphic design job out of college. So in 2008, I'm sitting there and I'm like, can't go any further. And I started sending out applications and resumes, and I couldn't land any interviews. And I'm up here feeling unworthy, like unvalued. I'm like, what's wrong with my resume? And then, again, this was like right before the recession, so I didn't even have, like, that wasn't even an excuse. I don't know what had happened. So after a few weeks, woke up one day, had an epiphany. I'm like, well, why don't I just hire myself instead of waiting on somebody else to hire me? I might have the skills to succeed at this, and what's the worst that could happen? So I gave my job at that point in time a 2-week notice, and I quit. And I also bought a house and a new car at the same time, which at the time felt like a brilliant idea, but looking back, it was like super sloppy. I'd already had 20 grand due in student debt before leaving the job. And then getting a house and a car, now that's acquiring more debt. Had no lines of credit, no savings, nothing. Probably had a low credit score as well. Like, stuff was just crazy. So I kind of backed myself into a corner unintentionally, and then realizing, I was like, well, I can only go forward and stuff now. But during that point, I had to work 80-hour plus weeks. Even when I started to get on as a designer, I had to like take every job that I could get just to make the ends meet and keep the house that we had just bought. Since that point in time, over a few years later, I became a top 30 under 30 winner back in 2014. And I helped launch Band-Aid's Our Tone product, which are basically their bandage line for people of color. So that's a project I'm really proud of. I got certified in a couple of different areas. I got 2 businesses, Bulletproof Hustle. Will tell you that I share with my wife, and I've personally served over 275 clients. So that's my street cred for you. Just wanted to highlight that and let you know what was happening. Now, this course is going to be for you if you fit into any of these 5 camps. As Jonah was saying, this is good for pretty much anybody that wants to manage their time. But let's even get more specific than that. Okay, so if you're feeling more reactive than proactive in your business, where you're just responding to everything happening to you versus you being the one happening to events. You might have shiny object syndrome. So you see the next new thing out there and then you switch gears, which means that you're starting things that you don't actually finish. You might be multitasking it just to get things done on time because you're wearing too many hats. You might feel like you're doing a lot, but like you're like the hamster in the wheel, going nowhere fast, moving, but your results are not matching out like your output. Or you could have the right intentions, but then the day, like you lose track of the day because life happens. So let me know in the chat, and then Jonah can chime in and stuff as well too. But in these 5 camps, now no lying and stuff, y'all. we all should be like, it's no need to be shy and stuff about this, because I think all of us, I don't care where you at on the success scale, struggle in at least 5 of these things right now, especially now more than ever. And so I'll even go first. Like my big thing would probably be the second one on here, struggling with shiny object syndrome, the SOS. Every new tactic and thing that I learn, like I'm excited to test it, but I got to finish going through what I've already learned before testing something. So that's my big thing. So even I need help with this very thing that I'm helping you all out with, right? That's why it's called a practice. So what's happening, John?
Yeah. We got a few people chiming in. I definitely empathize with you with the shiny syndrome. It's just like, oh, that's the way to do it every time. But we got Brandon is saying number 4
Okay.
for them. So that's a big one. And then I do like Catherine, because this is what I thought at first as well. Just all 5.
Oh wow, all 5. Oh man, this is great. I love it. I appreciate y'all for letting me know, and for y'all not being shy, and for y'all coming out of y'all shell and letting me know that. Like I said, man, I'm with you. I struggle, and I'm so glad y'all let me know, because I thought that we all struggle with at least one of these things, like on the daily. And so Joan, I appreciate you letting me know too. So yeah, this is great, man. That's why y'all are definitely in the place to be, and I'm about to hit y'all with some value bombs. So let's get into this thing. Okay, so the very first framework is called the budget framework, where we are budgeting our time like money. Now, this particular framework is going to be great for people such as like consultants or coaches, anyone that sells time for a living in blocks, whether you earn a lot of money or not, or you selling it to several people, or maybe accountants, bookkeepers, people that already deal in the finance world, anybody that's already good with money. This particular framework is really going to make a lot of sense to you, but definitely stick around even if you're not in that camp. I just wanted to give you some context. So according to score.org, distractions, I've surmised, are killing entrepreneurs. Distractions are. So with 86% of small businesses saying time management crucial to their success. So that's a good thing. But 61% of businesses feel time stressed and overwhelmed. 16% of small businesses suffer from these technological distractions. So smartphones, social anxiety, right? So I'm just giving you this context of how important it is, more now than ever, that you budget your time very well. And especially if you want to join these ranks and manage your time so that you can join these success ranks, and how critical it is, right? So you might be asking yourself, how do I budget my time? Well, that's what we're here for, right? All right. So you're going to see a lot of 3s throughout this. I'm probably addicted to that number, and I like trilogies and arcs and stuff. So you're going to see a lot of that in here. So everything is broken down into like 3 more things. So we got the 3 frameworks, and there are 3 parts to this first framework. You got me? So actively prioritize, set intentions, and to limit distractions. Now let's go through these one by one. To actively prioritize, you first have to look at how much average daily bandwidth you have in your actual business, not the bandwidth that you're actually awake for, like the 16 hours that you're doing stuff. This is the time that you have to work on in your business. Now, I know a lot of y'all that are watching this are in different verticals, different industries, and you have different entrepreneurial pursuits and journeys that you're on. So what I want you to do is look at the next 7 days or your past 7 days and see what the daily average is that you actually have time to spend on your business. What you'll find is that if you side hustling, You might only have like 3 hours a day to work on your business, or maybe a half hour. If it's all that you do, you probably got closer to like 8 hours a day. But it's very important. It's so critical that you start with looking at your bandwidth so that way you can know where your time is being spent and where, like, how much you actually have to work with, because that changes the whole thing up. Then you're going to cut down your tasks to just 3 to 5 things. When we have these long to-do lists, we end up feeling bad when we don't even accomplish everything on it. When you got 20 things to hit, including your personal items, picking up the kids from school, or calling this person, calling my mom. It's this person's birthday, right? Those are personal tasks. But on your business side, you still could have 15 different things that you know you need to do, but there's really no organization on it. Secondly, you're not even getting all of those things done. So you start to get like demotivated easily and being like, I'm never going to finish this stuff. Well, now we're going to cut a lot of this stuff out and move things to later by prioritizing things. That's what active prioritization is about. We're going to categorize these 3 to 5 things into got to do, need to do, and want to do. Okay. So for example, a got to do, if you're an e-commerce store, if you represent an e-commerce store and you sell athletic clothing, for instance, your got to do's are going to be, okay, you need to handle today's orders. You need to ship out the orders that came in yesterday. You got some customer complaints that came in, right? These are things, the essentials to running your business. Those are things that you got to do regardless. Your need to do's, you might need to hire some help. You might need to outsource a specific job. You might need to pull one product off of the shelves in your e-commerce store. Your want to do's are the things that you've been meaning to get around to, such as changing your platform altogether or updating your website. You might want to release an entirely new product line. So you're going to prioritize where your tasks are, and obviously start with your got to do's, moving on to your need to do's, to your want to do's. This active prioritization really changes up everything and really budgeting your time so that way you know where these items fit on the scale. When you just have a to-do list with no organization in them, even if it's chronological, it's not going to be effective because it isn't prioritized according to how your business needs to flow and what it needs to do to succeed. Feel what I'm saying? So after you've actively prioritized in the budget framework, next, you're going to set intentions. So you're going to lay out a high-level mission for the week. You could be running a coaching program, for instance, just as an example, and your high-level mission might be you need to sign up 5 new clients. Okay. Well, you've already laid that out, and it's just one thing per week, the high-level mission, because we really need to simplify these things. And then you're going to remove anything that doesn't support that particular mission. This is going to make you more efficient. It isn't about adding more things to your to-do list. It's about removing the clutter, removing the fluff, the things that don't add up to getting those 5 clients, right? Processing of figuring out how you're going to budget your time like money and compound it and get the interest on it. You got to move stuff around and you got to shift things. And you certainly need to simplify the amount of tasks that you're looking at on a daily basis. When you specify, then you specify what needs to be done and by when. As consultants, or if you're a service provider such as myself, we're used to providing restraints for our clients. But when it comes to ourselves, like me, it's hard to hold yourself accountable to your own deadlines. Number one, you have to set them, and then you have to actually like follow up on being accountable to them. So it's very difficult to do, but you start here. You start by cultivating these strong daily habits, realizing that what you do for your clients, you need to do for yourself as well. You can't be giving yourself the short end of the stick. Use what you're coaching other people on in your own way and say, okay, well, what needs to be done by when? I need to land these 5 clients, or I need to set up this new product line with my athletic store with this by this date and when. This is intention. This is setting them. And then the third and final part of budgeting, the budget framework, the first framework, is to limit these distractions. And by that, you're also going to limit the proximity people have to you. Because I promise you, if you make yourself too available to everybody, people won't respect your time. They're going to be like, oh, okay. Or Erica or Brandon, oh man, they're available whenever. I know I can hit them up. they're easy to reach. I know they can help me out with this problem. No one respects your time. But when I did this like 10 years ago, when I started time blocking myself and I messaged all my clients, I said, look, I'm only checking emails between these 2 points in time. They respected that. And they're like, okay, they're like, oh snap, like Darnell's serious about his time and stuff now. I'm like, yeah, I gotta stay in the pocket. Okay. So you gotta go off the grid. Going off the grid definitely means putting that phone in airplane mode and then putting it in another room. You can't put it in airplane mode and leave it on in front of your desk. You're going to end up reaching for it. That needs to be in a bag in a completely different room, unreachable. Now, that's obvious if your business is not related to you being on your phone all the time. If you can be on your computer or you write or even offline, maybe you're out and about in the field, you need to go dark for a period of time where you're unreachable unless it is critical to the way that you structure your business. Restrict your internet access if you can. If you're a writer, if you're an author, you can still do writing in one of these apps and then just restrict your internet access for a time period or like turn your Wi-Fi off or something. Then you're going to utilize what we call Pomodoros. I'm sure Jonah has heard of these. Y'all let me know in the chat if any of y'all have heard of Pomodoros, where you do 25 minutes of deep focus work on whatever task that you have to do. And then you take a 5-minute break. That's your reward at the end of it. It's just 25 minutes. It's so digestible. It's so achievable. I've been doing it probably for like the last 5 or 6 years. It's absolutely one of my secret ingredients. I learned it from one of these magazines that I read, one of these success or entrepreneurial magazines.
Darnell,
what's up,
I got
Jonah?
a quick question here.
Yeah.
So if you're cruising in that 25 minutes, do you force yourself to take that 5-minute break? Or
you do force yourself. Yeah. It's important to break it up. Yeah, it is absolutely important to break it up. I've learned from people that study, and that's a great question. I learned from people that study like the effects of like deep focus work in long periods of time. And they're like, man, you could work on becoming a pianist for 8 hours straight and like be loving it, or painting something, right? Where these things where you can't really put a time cap on your practice. But they always suggest, man, you need to get up, walk it off, like change your mind and just break up the flow. And the great thing is it becomes a reward that you look forward to because anybody can do 25 minutes of deep focus work. And those of us who have social anxiety, because I'm telling you, I'm being real, it's going to be very hard to do this at first, to work on one thing for just 25 minutes straight. It's going to be very difficult. But after a minute, man, you're going to be like, oh, snap, like I'm not ready to get out the flow. And you're going to see it like, oh, man, like, the reward is in you did 25 minutes of uninterrupted work, and nobody ever does that. Like nobody does that. You're checking your emails every 5 minutes. You're getting phone calls in.
Yeah,
man, I'm telling you, people are gonna respect your time differently. Go off the grid, but let people know you're off the grid working on this deep focus for 25 minutes or for an hour at a time, right, Jonah? And then you go down to where this last item in here, blocking your time to undisturbed 30 to 60-minute chunks. Obviously, this, of course, depends on the industry that you're in. Service provider, if you doing coaching, if you got an e-commerce store, if you got a skincare line like us, whatever it is, there's still going to be elements of your business and touch points that require you to be deeply focused on something. And so instead of saying, I'm going to go off the grid for a day or go on a sabbatical, like in the middle of your work week, no, man, like you're just blocking out your time differently. And you're saying, okay, from 8 to noon, this is my Pomodoro time where I'm going to do, I'm going to get in 8 to 10 Pomodoros straight. And then I'll check my email at 12, right? And that's a question I have for y'all. Like, y'all can let us know in the chat, like how many of us check our emails first thing in the morning or check social media first thing in the morning? And so this framework that I'm putting y'all up on, these 3 frameworks, this is meant to combat that and really to change your perspective, because when you open up your email first thing, unless it is part of your job description, unless you manage emails like you're a community manager or something, unless that is like your job title, then like checking emails is probably one of the worst things you can do first thing in the morning. This is your time to be proactive, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that in these next few frameworks. But anyway, I gave you a little precursor to that. So those are the 3 things: actively prioritizing, number 2, setting intentions, and number 3, limiting your distractions and the amount of access people have to you. If you manage a restaurant or something, for instance, where you got to come out into the front and deal with customers and employees, but you also got to manage like the sales and stuff that come in while you are in the back of the office. Like, I'm just trying to give you just different examples of what your professional life could look like, and how this you could still modify all of this to suit your exact needs. You might go dark in a different way. It might be like, okay, now I'm not dealing with the front desk at this point. I'm going to go in here and crunch these numbers and look at our sales and stuff for the rest of the week. See what I'm saying? All right. So I want you to remember that time is more precious than money, because money is replaceable, time isn't. So it's more valuable. Budget and protect it, your time, like you do your money. Now you might be like, well, I suck at protecting and budgeting my money. Y'all can let us know in the chat if that sounds like you, if you're not an accountant, if you leave that up to better people, if you don't like numbers and math and stuff. Then I still would argue that it's even more critical that you get better at managing your time, because you can't replace it, and you really can't hire somebody to make more time for you than the 24 hours that each of us have access to on a daily basis. So if you're bad at managing money, then get better at budgeting your time then, at least, which is going to help you gain more sales and money, because you can be in pocket and being more productive. And then you can hire the help that you need to help you to assist in those areas that you're not that strong. Okay, so let me know in the chat if y'all get this. That's framework number 1, the budget framework. Let me know what y'all thought. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you get it, ready to move on. So framework number 2, the second one. After we've budgeted, now it's time to focus. Focus framework. This is going to be good for those of us who have a little bit of like suffer from ADD, or we have multiple hats that we need to wear in our business. We have so many different things to focus on, especially if you're a solopreneur. You got to handle your own accounting. You got to handle your taxes. You got to handle your own payroll, all of these different things. This is going to be great for you. Okay. Now, the context side of this is the big ethos I want you to take away: to avoid multitasking. Now, that may sound contrarian, but I will make a good argument for that in this event. Now, avoid multitasking, no matter how it looks and no matter how well you can do it. Give one thing your deliberate, undivided attention for small chunks of time. Maybe it hasn't worked in the past for you because you've been trying to do it over large blocks. No, let's break it down to a more digestible thing here. So the multitasking, we all can walk and chew gum, but these days it's like we're walking, chewing gum, listening to a podcast, listening to music, having a conversation with our friend, watching the bus go down the road, watching a movie and stuff as well. Like we're doing 10 different things and stuff at once. And we wonder why we don't have the mental capacity to like just sit still with one thing for like 1 minute at a time. We don't have the capacity, the bandwidth to do it. That's why we're talking about that bandwidth in the previous framework. See how this whole thing is tying up? Maybe ask yourself, okay, so how do I change the way I focus? Or if you got the way you focus now, if it's really good, let's look at all sides of the spectrum. You could be super dialed in with your focus. You could suck at it. I'm here to help you out either way. Now, the 3 parts to the focus framework: pinpointing what yields the results in your business. 2, taking care of your proactive work first. And then the final part is doing that one thing at a time. Now let's break each of these down. Pinpointing which task yields the most results in your business. Now, the first item you're going to take care of is analyzing exactly what's growing your business. This is going to require you to measure the data that you have. If you're running a business, some of y'all let me know in the chat that y'all are solopreneurs or small businesses. So it's on you to really be able to like reflect on what has happened in the past month or in the past quarter, your ROI, and see, well, what's growing in my business? Where is that happening? And being able to look at that and to really measure what that means. And then Jonah might be able to chime in here if you end up figuring out the answer to this. But one of these great marketers out here, one of these legends, has said that 20% of your efforts generate 80% of your results. I read about this a few years ago, and I've always became attached to that idea. And it made me optimistic and hopeful. I was like, 20%? Which 20% is that? Like, that's the hard part to always figure out, because if you can figure that out and you can harness it, that 20% of your efforts are generating 80% of your results. What's up, Jonah?
Oh, I was just about to say something like that, but I love your calling that out because I also for years have been like fascinated with it, like into that 80-20 rule. But then yeah, when do you know when you are doing the right 20%? Because you can
Exactly.
spend
That's the question.
50% of your time trying to figure out what that 20% is.
Exactly, exactly.
It's
And
like,
then it's
oh
the
shoot.
and then I love it because it's also the implication of what the reverse of that means. I'm spending 80% of my time work that's only yielding 20% of the results. Because
Right.
I'm thinking about the opposite of that statement. If that part is true, and I've been doing the wrong thing in my past life, I've been spending 80% of my time on 20% of the results. Like those 80% of the clients or something that I had that were adding to only 20% of my bottom line.
Yeah.
That's where it began to click for me, Jonah, is saying that, well, look at what the other side of this argument means. And that is easier to point out and stuff to me because I can like look at the numbers. It's the customers that you don't like working with. It's the people that
Right.
always waste your time, that ask for the most revisions and stuff. So that's one way to look at it. And then you can say, oh, the 20%, it might have been on like landing 3 or 4 really good clients that appreciated me, that valued my time.
Right.
See, because you're looking at it from that other angle. That was one way that allowed me to tap in, Jonah. And that's the other side of it is that first point. It's about analyzing what's growing your business because you got to look at your ROI. You got to say, okay, if I've earned 5,000 in income this one month, like where did it all come from? Okay, if it came from these 1 or 2 clients or these 1 or 2 products, like what is it about these products? Because you can look at that data, like you have it
Right.
available to you. Google
Right.
provides you with analytics, your e-commerce store does. And if you're doing your own accounting, your bookkeeper can provide that for you. So we have the tools. It's easier than ever for sure. Okay. And then you're going to delegate what is not in that 20% camp. When we figure that out, we're going to delegate that to other people because it doesn't require our direct involvement. Or you're going to put it on the back burner, or that's a lower priority item. We need to
Right.
tap in and harness that 20% and say, oh, it's these 4 products that are selling amongst 100 on our website consistently every month. Maybe we should make more of this or find lookalike audiences that are only coming to buy these things and really start to be more of that brand and add these features to things, right? And the same side of it, if you work with clients one-on-one, who are the clients that make me feel valued, that make me feel expansive, that make me feel fulfilled and waking up loving what I do? How can I get more of them? Okay, it's simple. Like I could tell them to, like, if there's anybody else, I love working with you, and anybody else in your camp that I've given you this transformation, like bring them on, like that. So it's many different ways to play it, but you got to be cognizant about it and be very intentional. Look at what's growing in that business, and don't be afraid to review that. Even if you lost sales for the month, even if you don't have much to go by, if you're just starting, start there. Then
Right.
we can start to tap into what that 20% is. All right.
I love it. Love it.
So the second point in the focus framework is to do your most proactive work first. We talked about in the budget framework that if you're waking up, answering emails, hopping on social media, you're going to get put down the rabbit hole. They have the best scientists in the world focused on how to keep people in their ecosystems and on these platforms. And you wonder why it's addictive. So you're combating against all of that, which is why you got to control your piece of your mind again, your mental bandwidth. Your proactive work are the things that distinguish you from your competition. It's like how you're branded. Why do people come to you? What it is that you provide as a solopreneur, as an artist, as a crafts person, as a leader, as a serial entrepreneur? What is it about you? Is it your personality? Is it the tips that you give, the way that you break things down? Do you curate? Do you interview well? Are you a great journalist? All of these different things that make you special. And it's what your customers are actually paying you for. And that might take you calling them up or surveying them and actually asking. Don't assume anything. Get in touch with people and ask them, or your friends or colleagues, about like what value are you getting from me? And you might be surprised. It's sometimes not what we think it is that people are actually coming to us for. And we can really start to tap into that and get more in pocket with where we focus on if we understand the value that we bring to people by hearing it directly from them. And then after your proactive work done, is done, you can do all of your reactive stuff for the rest of the day because you got all your other time to do that. But in this moment, this is what we got to work on, right? That's what's important. Then you can go ahead and check your emails. The final part of the focus framework, the third thing, is to focus on just one thing at a time, to be completely present with the task at hand. So I've given you some tactics in the budgeting framework, limiting the distractions, time blocking, Pomodoros, and try to get to that flow state that we've heard athletes talk about, runners or musicians, whereas it's like time stops or time is irrelevant. You realize hours pass, but it feels like only moments, like that elusive state, being on that high. You can get it if you create the environment for it. So you remove the distractions, but you also set up a conducive environment around you. It could be certain fragrances that get you in a very creative mode or get you in pocket, candles, so scents. It could be music that you play, white noise. For me, it's like lo-fi music and stuff. I set up my environment to be very conducive to where I can be in that flow state, because that's a huge part of it. The environment plays a huge role into it. But if you can design it as you need to your workplace, motivational posters, it might be a certain outfit that you wear where you just feel super. It might be like me, like when I put on my jewelry and stuff, like I feel a little bit more super, man. I feel a little bit more super, man. Yeah, that's a pun, man. That's a pun. Anyway, engage fully in a single activity until your timer goes off. That's what we're talking about with the Pomodoros. And Jonah was asking that question. If you're in pocket, like, do you still stop? Well, when you're being intentional with your time and during that work week, yes, you do need to take those breaks. If it's on a weekend or if it's on your time off, that's not time blocking, you want to jump on something else, then by all means, stay in that flow state for as long as you want to, because it's hard. It's kind of hard to get to it, especially if it's difficult to set up that environment. But we work on it and we become more intentional about it. Now, I created a daily focus checklist, which basically lists out like the things that you can do from these first two frameworks. And I'll share with you later on in here how you can get a copy of that. But I designed it and stuff for you to print off and check it off every single day to make sure that, okay, these are the things that I've done to really set up my conducive environment. So I got you. And let's move on. Now, when you focus exclusively on what demands your energy in your business, I want you to remember that you're doing your most meaningful work. And that's going to yield your greatest results. So I want to leave you with that. Take a screenshot of that if you need to, but that's the thought that I really wanted to leave you with as the second framework. Let me know in the chat with a thumbs up if you're digging this framework, if you get it, and you're excited for the final one that we're about to get into now. So after the budget framework, after the focus framework, we're moving into the final one. What's up? What you got for me, Jonah?
Oh, I just wanted to pop in to let you know. Yeah, people are on. Anjali is saying this is so good. Laura's chiming in. People are following along and loving it.
Oh man, I love it. Thank you so much, Jonah, for letting me know. I appreciate y'all for chiming in. I love an engaged community. I love y'all. You let me know how this is hitting you and resonating with you. I know these are contrarian concepts, and some of them are really radical thinking and radical notions. But I'm gonna leave you with a nugget, and Jonah, remind me to like leave this whole thing on something that I want people to remember when it comes to courses like these and new notions. And one thing to remember that has really helped me cultivate my own habits, if I forget myself.
Okay, we'll come
back. All right, so let's get to this final one, y'all. We'll be respectful of y'all time and stuff. So, okay, so the final one is the theme framework. Now, this is the one that I've been loving a lot and have been testing out. Is one I've been testing as well with the Pomodoro side, y'all. And it's creating these themes for each day because I'm a person that has to wear several different hats and be a lot of different things. So this theme framework is certainly going to be good if you are in that camp of you have so many different things to do throughout the course of a week, but you don't know, like, everything is important, so nothing is important, right? Or you like, oh man, should I be spending time on social media, like engaging with people? And then like, when do I actually create my book and stuff? Or like, how do I create this flow? Like, this theme work is really going to help you out. And then we'll get into this here right now. The ethos behind the theme is it's all about consistently. That's why I highlighted in yellow, doing the things that grow your business. But to have more progress in anything, you need a process for something. You have to systematize it so that you can replicate it and actually scale, and then teach it to other people. And then you become like the wise person that is able to inspire other people to do this because you've tested it and you've done it. And so the key is to create a theme around each workday to boost your performance and effectiveness in your business. If you're asking yourself, how do I create these themes? That's what I'm here for. Okay, so to boost your performance. Now, the first part, because we're talking about threes, of course, y'all know I'm obsessed with them. The theme framework. So these are the 3 points. List all touch points in your business that require your direct involvement. Second, we're going to create 5 high-level themes, one to represent like a typical 5-day week. And that these are going to be themes that you need to dedicate to your business based on your vertical or your industry. You're going to do these things on a weekly basis. So you're hitting the same 5 things in your business every week. And they're all equally important, but you're spending a day on one thing at a time. And then you're going to categorize all of those touch points, all those things that involve you. That is the 20% of your efforts getting your 80% of results. That 20%, categorize those under these 5 themes. Now let's break this down. In the touch point segment of listing, I want you to start with the obvious topics. Your customer service, your product development, again, it's really industry dependent, but it's the essential elements that you have to do that require your direct involvement, no matter what you have going on in your business. Next, you're going to list out the items that should have your attention, such as more on the proactive side, like that outreach, being able to scale, get new insights, educate yourself, stay on top of the game, like read industry news and trends and things to really just stay on top of things. So these are touch points, again, that do require your involvement. Then you got to dedicate the bulk of your time towards these touch points under each theme of your day. So we're going to break that down a little bit more as we go into these other 2 parts of the theme framework. So that's the touch point segment. The 5 high level themes. Okay, so you're going to think about, because all of y'all's businesses are different, these are the 3 key parts. Consider how your product or service fits into your audience's lives. It's not just, you want to get out of thinking of the commodity of it or just the thing that you actually sell, but what your secret sauce is, what it is that makes it special, what it is that keeps people loyal and stuff to you. And again, as we've determined in the prior framework, you might be surprised to see what that is. It might not be what you think. Consider how your business is branding itself, and then how you acquire and retain customers. These are the 3 things from which you should be designing your themes around to see which ones play the best role for your specific business. If you are in, and I know I know my guy Brandon in the chat, he might cringe at this, but I always give like the example of lawn care. If you're in the lawn care space, or if you're doing home renovations, you might see those are different themes. You might have a point where you need to do different type of customer work, or like actually focus on better ingredients for lawns, or better, more sustainable products for renovating homes so that people don't get sick with things that are in the air, like that type of stuff. So some examples of different themes and ones that I've applied in my business would be like development day, outreach day. So outreach day would be like your day for prospecting, since we all have to do that, a very proactive thing. Going out and bringing in new leads, or trying to bump shoulders with micro influencers or publications that you respect, institutions that already have the audience that you want to reach, dedicating that to a full day. So if that was my day on a Wednesday, like today, I'd be sitting there, okay, my whole day is based on getting back to people, reaching out to them, trying to let people know that I exist, trying to court them, get them interested into what I'm putting out. And I'm only focused on that. I'm not focused on social media, or creating anything, or doing any writing, or working on any courses like this. It could be just focused on that one thing. Delight day, that's a big one, which is all about like making your customers feel like they're the most important people in the world, or that one customer. That's even better. Like you can make each customer feel like they're the only customer in the world. Figuring out different ways to delight them and stay top of mind. Are you a seasonal business? Figuring it out when you've done that analytics work and seeing what's growing your business that we talked about in the previous framework. Oh, okay, what is growing my business? Are we a seasonal business? Are we in the holiday space? Are there certain times where we peak and then things kind of die out? Are we a Christmas company more of a business, right? And so you're looking at how to delight and stay top of mind, especially if you're a seasonal business, and thinking beyond just the normal transactional relationships that you have with people. So that's when we get into like content marketing and things like staying on top of mind to deliver value to people when it's during those times that people don't traditionally buy from your industry, right? Networking day, creative day, social media, you kind of get the point. But it's breaking each day down and saying, okay, well, these 5 make the most sense for my business. But it requires doing the work in the previous 2 themes before you even get to knowing what these themes are, right? So the theme framework, the second part, categorize each touch point under one theme, right? Okay, so actually this is the third one. So jot down every activity that you're responsible for executing. Then next, you're going to create, so each task is going to serve the greater theme for that day. You're going to jot down everything that you're responsible for. So again, this is categorizing those touch points that we talked about with the themes. And then you're going to do what I always recommend to my clients is to set aside space and time to deal with emergencies and opportunities. So bad type of emergencies, as well as new opportunities that you can't say no to, that you need to respond on, limited time only type of offers. You need to design that in your workday. They're going to come up anyway, so why not just expect them? Expect the unexpected. You're going to have a life happens moment like at least once a week, guaranteed. No one is exempt. So instead of being thrown off course, you can say, well, maybe from 1 to 2 p.m., like this is my time to call all of those people back, to put out fires, to deal with these opportunities that I cannot refuse. That have came in through emails. Like you wanted to respond in a moment, but you know you need to stay on your Pomodoro, like your 5 minutes are up. So you got to get back in flow. You take this time block each day, 12 to 1, 8 in the morning to 9 a.m., 15 minutes a day, where you address all of the things that you don't expect to happen and have that dedicated in its own space. I'm telling you, it's like super life-changing. And it really clicked because you already expect them anyway. Now, as business owners, we're getting so many things competing for our attention on a daily basis. And so with these themes, we're going to become more proactive than reactive in our business, because it is you getting back in the driver's seat and saying, these are the important things that are growing my business, the 20% of my efforts that are yielding 80% of my results. These are things I want to work on that are actually going to grow, and everything else is reactive stuff. Everything else does not require my direct involvement. Everything else does not involve my special sauce that makes my business branded and very distinguished. That's how you're looking at it. That's how you begin to change your thinking. Now, give me a thumbs up, a final thumbs up here in the chat if this makes sense to you, if you get it, if you get what themes are, if this has started to make sense, if you appreciate it. And then as you do that, we're going to go ahead and recap these 3 frameworks, because I know we went through a lot. I know I left you with a lot to work with. So the budget framework: actively prioritize, set intentions, limit distractions. Those are the 3 things. Second one is going to be the focus framework, pinpointing what yields the results in your business. We talked about how to analyze that, why your proactive is important, and why you should do it first. I'm telling you, if you do your reactive work first thing, if you start with those emails, it's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. You will go down the rabbit hole. Your friend's going to send you videos that you need to be watching right now. Man, spare 5 minutes to watch this video. It's the funniest thing you're going to see. Y'all know y'all getting texts and stuff like this. If you're off the grid, though, if you're in a Pomodoro and your phone is in airplane mode, you're not going to see that text till later, and it can definitely wait. It ain't going nowhere. And then focusing on one thing at a time. The final framework, the theme framework, listing all touch points, creating those 5 high-level themes. You want to look at your work week. If you got less time than that to work on your side hustle, if you only got 1 day a week, totally cool. Then that theme is even more important. If you got all 7 days, if you only got portions of the month that you're working on, whatever it is, try to modify them, try to make this work for your particular situation, and then categorize each touch point that you have to be directly involved in under one of these 5 themes. Now, you can take the themes concept a little bit further. I produced a course, it's one of my most recent ones, called the 5-Day Impact. So I had designed that one to go a lot more in depth on this whole theme framework that we're talking about here. And it's really trying to show you techniques. I got worksheets and handouts and stuff in there as well, more examples too. And I've tried to even roll it out over a 5-day period. So like when you enroll into the course, only the first day of it is available, because I want you to sit with it and absorb it. Because again, these are radical things that not too many people have tested or tried. I imagine a lot of you haven't either. And so I really wanted you to be able to sit with that. And it rolls out every day for 5 consecutive days. Okay, these are the 5 elements of the course. Then you have that lifetime access, so you can return whenever you want to. I've got I've got audio only versions of every single course, so you can learn while you're on the go as well. But again, I couldn't fit all of that into this course, but I wanted to hit you all with some value. So only for the next 24 hours. And Jonah's, I think he's put that at the top of the comments as well too, so you can learn more and enroll if you should be so curious. But I wanted to reward you all because I didn't get too much time to promote this course. So if you're here now, if you heard about this course, I really wanted to reward you. And so, yeah, that's a course that regularly goes for $100, and for the next 24 hours is yours for 10 if you want it. But again, that's the theme concept that goes into a lot more depth if that's something that you want to go forth on and continue your education. Now, when you combine these 3 frameworks, you optimize your time in a way that better serves you and your business. That's why I meant for all of these to work chronologically, all in order: budgeting, focusing, and then theming the days, all meant to work in these digestible chunks. And if you want a copy of this playbook, so this slide deck, you can go to darnellbrown.com/OYT, stands for Optimize Your Course. You can go download that. Just tell me where to send it. And this way you can have this to reference as well. It's totally yours for free if you like. You can find more goods like this at darnellbrown.com. Hit me up. Let's get social. I'm at Bulletproof Hustle on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can look me up at Darnell Brown, or my company page, Bulletproof Hustle, on LinkedIn. And so I think the final thing that I mentioned to Jonah a few moments ago, one thing that I wanted to leave you with that like kind of houses this entire course, this entire event, was that I want you to be patient with yourself. I want you to be forgiving with yourself, because you're not going to get this right the very first time that you try this. You're going to try out these themes, and your week is going to be completely derailed. It's going to happen on the one week that you're about to go on vacation or something like that. Like, this may have been a very, like a day for you that you really can't get into this. And so it's critical. And that's why I broke things down in a very simple way, because I want them to be digestible for you and to make things into like chunks that you can like easily consume, like scannable, and something that you can try out for just like 1 minute at a time at a day, and to be very patient. And again, forgiving with yourself, because you will fail at this in the beginning. These are simple concepts, but simple does not mean easy. These are very hard things to cultivate, to get your mental capacity back, to not have that social anxiety. Like you're going to have like a phantom feeling about not having your phone in the room with you right now during this time where you're in deep focus. It just feels odd. It feels foreign to you. That's why you got to be patient, and you got to try one thing at a time. Realize this, replay this, return to this, and be like, okay, man, that's cool. Like I forgive myself. I'm going to jump back on this on the next day, but intend to do it. And when you commit, try it, and try it in these small chunks and stuff at a time, one thing at a time. And I guarantee you that's absolutely the path forward, because it will be very hard to just switch off your thinking. And the multitasking thing that we talked about is just like if you're indoors and your house is 75 degrees and outdoors it's cold. When we're multitasking all day long and task switching, that's like we're going in and out of these 2 environments over and over again, which is bad for like our bodies and arthritis and stuff. That's what it's doing to our brains. Like we're deteriorating our mental capacity, and we're wondering why it's so hard to focus on things, and wondering why things are so addictive, and how are these ecosystems so addictive, and the dopamine rush and the engagement and all of this stuff. You got to get back in the driver's seat because you're being a passenger pretty much. You're smarter than this. You're better than this. And I hope these 3 frameworks help you out.
Oh, Darnell, it's so good. I just want to call out to people, Brandon saying, I learned a lot already. I know the course is epic. Everyone's just chiming in. B. Bailey was saying, what a great class. You were so focused. It's probably, you've also been practicing this for a while too, right? So it's a skill you develop. The focus develops over time and it stops being as difficult, right? Like every time you say put your phone in a different room, like I get a pang in my stomach.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm being real with y'all.
And it's crazy because I don't want to live by that thing.
You're going to fail at this like 2 or 3 times. You're going to be reaching. It ain't there. You're like, ooh, that's that anxiety. You're reaching for something that you know that you didn't put in another room. I'm telling you, this stuff is real. It is not easy. And again, similar to meditation, y'all, it's called a practice. It's not called a perfect. If you intend to do it, if you cultivate the habits, these frameworks are meant to cultivate the habits for you to start analyzing things, seeing where your time is spent, looking at your average bandwidth, talking to your customers and seeing what they're actually coming to you for, what's keeping them loyal. I'm setting you up with the frameworks.
Right.
The task, the accountability, that continues on in like future trainings or if we end up working together in some way. But these are the frameworks. This is what I can give you in a 30-minute session and just pack value bombs like all up in this thing. So yeah.
No, I love it. And I mean, yeah, well, first up, before I get ahead of myself, I just wanted to call out once more for everybody. The links for that course are in the comments. They're pinned to the top and they're in the description. So take advantage in the next 24 hours. And if you miss the 24 hours, but you still want to hop on it, that course will still be there. It just won't be that fantastic offer that you have. And we have a little more time with Darnell. So pop any questions you have in the comments. We can dive into a Q&A now. And I wanted to start off with I have a problem.
Okay.
When it comes to distractions, which it's so easy to convince yourself that your phone or your computer is the thing with the tools that you need on it.
Yep.
So I'll use my phone. I'm like, oh, I need to practice guitar. Oh, there's a great app on my phone to help me practice guitar. And then I start practicing guitar and ping, Slack comes up or something like that. So do you have any advice on like filtering? And I know my phone isn't the only tool I need to do that or could use to do that. So any advice on like, you could call it calling out your own bull or like, actually figuring out like, what are the tools that I need in order to do the task in front of me? Because every company out there is convincing you that their device is the tool you need to do everything.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a very realistic concern, one I struggle with and stuff myself too. And I think the first part of it is like, it's all about intent, keeping that intent top of mind of what it is that I'm doing. I know I'm smarter and better than this. I know better. I learned about it. Darnell just did a whole event and stuff about this. So you need to see me pop up as that little angel, that little devil, angel and devil on your shoulder being like, come on now. Like, really? We just talked about this. You're better than this. So it's the intent and stuff that matters. But furthermore, it's like getting onto the phone and like if you got an iPhone or something now, like now they got like these do not disturb functions. So like in between these hours, like your phone is already set in the mode so that only particular notifications can come in by which the only ones that like you're allowing to come in. So is it only emails? Is it only pings from Slack that are allowed to come between 8 to 5 every single day, Monday through Friday? Like that's a setting now. And I imagine that probably exists. The Android equivalent of that probably exists as well. And so like you're able to set up bigger times for do not disturbs. But if you like want to go super off the grid, I simply just like to turn the phone in like airplane mode, right? So like that's the quickest way I would know how, because that goes even deeper, Jonah, than do not disturb. Do not disturb still allows important texts and stuff and people to come in, but airplane mode, like nothing. It's like cutting off straight, like no phone calls, nothing. I just slide up from my iPhone, tap on that airplane icon, boom, it's done. It's like the simplest thing for me to do. And I know that I need to do that, Jonah, if I'm getting on my phone to practice something. So my equivalent example for you, like practicing with guitar, would be like, I need to record a Loom video for something. And I'm trying to get this right. I'm up there rehearsing. And the one moment I nail it, that's when the notification comes in. And I mess up. Like, I can't focus. I'm like, oh man, what is this? I'm like, why? Man, Murphy's Law is crazy, man. If it can happen, it will. And it's always when you like have just nailed it and then notification comes in and I'm looking at it and I got to do that whole video or something over again. But if my phone is in airplane mode, I'm good. See, I can record to my camera roll and I can upload that Loom later. I don't need to be on Loom then. So anything that needs to be recorded technically in terms of video or photos can be done in airplane mode. So that's the good thing. And then when it comes to the computer, if you translate that, Jonah, to the computer world, it is using some of those apps and widgets that like allow you to only access certain websites between these certain times. Like you have to set your parameters. You can't be left to your own devices, literally nor figuratively. Can't be left to
right.
It. So you gotta set your own restraints and be like, man, I'm weak right now. Be real with yourself. Like I can't. It's hard. You have to tell yourself and be extremely real and say, I gotta set these parameters in straight. This is the only way that I'm going to be proactive in my business and grow it to the level that I know I'm capable of. And this is the only way to combat to win my mental capacity back, because billions of dollars are spent trying to own a piece of my mind.
Yeah.
So with those
and they're good at it.
that are spent using the best scientists in the world, they're saying, man, we're gonna give Darnell and Jonah this dopamine. We're gonna keep them in the app. We're gonna keep them in the app. They're in this app for 20 minutes. Our average use base, we got 20 minutes. So
yeah.
You know, this is the attention wars right now. Like we're in the attention age, the age of distraction. So if you want to be in the driver's seat, and if you're an entrepreneur, you are absolutely one. You're a gambler, like you're in the business of risk taking. You are a risk taker. So you are better than most and stuff. You're in the minority and stuff with this. You got to remember that, and you got to tap into that and set those restraints. That's how I would tell you to do it, Jonah.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. And it's true. You just got to start taking it with the severity that it actually has. Cause I really appreciate when you were saying, even if you're not good about budgeting your money, budget your time. Cause you can make more money. You can't make more time. We only have time for a couple more questions here. And I think you did a pretty good job of answering this already, but I do want to just make clear, Anjali was asking, how is the masterclass that you're selling different from the training we're doing today? So we did a little bit today, but in the course, you're actually going in depth, giving resources and everything, so you can start mapping these things out, right?
Yep, that's exactly, Anjali. That's a good question, and that's one part of it. Is that this optimize your time framework is completely different from the 5-day impact. So there are two completely different courses. I gave you kind of a sample of like the theme framework, the third framework in this event. Like the 5-day impact is like the expanded version of that whole concept of like how to actually do these things on a daily basis and to really be able to sit with that content. So you're getting more value for that particular framework, since it is the most radical one out of the three, and the one that people need they need more familiarity with. So that's why I decided to create a full course that's just dedicated to that one thing, on creating themes, how they impact you, why you should use them. And really just today, I gave you like a 5-minute sample and stuff of that. That's the main difference between those two things. This is one course with 3 different topics, more about optimizing time, hence the title of it. The 5-day impact, that's about the themes and staying in those pockets with creating a theme for each day of the week, rather than like talking about focusing and budgeting your time. So it's two different things, but you got a sample of it in this one.
Right. So the goal of the course is really to establish that framework. So you're also just not having to start over every day, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? Because I know it's
that's exactly right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, Joan. I was
no, please.
Yeah, it's really designed to really take that concept in depth and take that concept and framework way more in depth than we had time for in this one, and being very specific to that one. And I'm adding content over in, and that's another thing I could put into it, was that any content updates that I make to it are going to be free as well over the next year. So a year from today, or a year from like the point that you enroll, through March of 2023, any updates that I make to it are going to be yours for free. So I update all of the students. Hey man, I added this section and stuff in here, or I got this question a lot. Let me develop a new lecture just on this specific topic. Right.
So it's changing and morphing. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Darnell, unfortunately, we have to wrap up just for time, but I appreciate so much you putting this into just such palatable format where you can understand. And it does take like getting a little real with yourself and actually evaluating what your relationship is to those distractions. But I think it's so helpful. And for everyone watching, you've been super active in the comments. Thank you. Hop in there again. Thank Darnell for his time. And if you had a good time today, please like and subscribe to the Spotlight YouTube channel. We're consistently trying to bring people like Darnell out here to help us grow our business, our art, our music, all of these things in our lives. Just be better at them, be better at how we manage our time around them. And before we wrap up, Darnell, I did want to ask one more question, which is a little more of a mindset question. But on top of all these frameworks, on top of all of this stuff, it seems like you're someone who wakes up most days ready to have a good day. Like, and attack those things. So do you have either a little like daily routine, a mantra, anything like that you suggest, like before you look at what your theme for the day is every day? Like, what's your get out of bed, feel ready for it routine?
I love that. And I'm actually going to be making a course about just routines and habits, because I realize people do, they look at me like Mr. Discipline guy. But you are right. I do wake up pretty pumped. The first thing that I do, and I recommend this to everybody, is I do a workout first thing in the morning, and I'm like a 4 a.m.er and a 5 a.m.er. So that's my version of like Tony Robbins jumping in that cold bath. A 30-minute workout, not knowing what the workout is going to be, is usually like body weights. So it's usually body weight exercise. I just go into my exercise room in my home, so I don't have to leave out anywhere. My clothes are out. My athletic clothes are already out for the next day. So when I'm waking up all groggy and tired, wanting to set that alarm, I just carry my tail to the other room, and I say, man, look, man, this is going to wake you up. It's going to give you that energy. It's a life happens moment for you, because it's conditioning me, because I don't know what's going to happen and stuff today. But if I crush this workout, really, when I didn't feel to, I feel unstoppable and stuff for the rest of the day.
Right.
So that's like the workout is my first thing. Then I do 10 minutes of guided meditation using the Calm app and stuff to calm my mind, like get back to my breathing, get centered, like how I'm feeling, like how do I feel about my life and my goals and stuff. Get me some coffee, and then I get to it probably about an hour and a half after I wake up. And that's the most important part, Joan, is to spend that time with yourself before the rest of the world wakes up, before all of the noise comes in, to where you can just focus on yourself, pouring yourself the energy that you need for an hour and a half, so that you can give the other 15 waking hours to everybody else and every other thing demanding your attention. But you start with yourself first, and it really conditions you to be ready for anything that can happen, because you crushed the hardest thing that it was to do, which is to work out on an empty stomach. It's like going for a run in the rain. You use it. That's the trigger. If it's raining, use it as a trigger to actually do the running. Don't look at it as a way to stop you. So me feeling tired, like I know I'm better than this, and I can't be talking all this junk, or this, I mean, not junk, but like talking this way and not living it. I really got to walk the walk. So that's what conditions me, is to get that workout and stuff in. The blood gets flowing. I do some kickboxing or something, and it's just like, man, you feel so free and just ready to do it, because, man, I had every excuse to stay in bed and sleep for like 15 more minutes, but I got to it. And when you do that, when you can do that over and over again, it's a practice. You won't always feel that way. You won't always feel unstoppable. But as they say, you rarely feel worse than you did when you actually do that workout. You never regret like doing the workout. You only regret the one you didn't do. So that's what it is for me. I would say that's the biggest one, Jonah.
I love that. You only regret what you didn't do. I'm taking that with me today. All right. And Darnell,
Hey,
thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hop in the chat. Thank Darnell for his time and his expertise. And make sure to check out his course. It's only there for 24 hours at that awesome discount price. It's been a blast.
90% off. It might be the best
90%.
deal y'all
That's
ever offer. I know it's insane. That's why
I
y'all
mean,
better hurry before I change my mind. I might
yeah.
realize what I'm doing here.
Right. So hop in there, and if you're watching the replay, please hop in the comments as well. Let us know what you think, how you had a good time. We love hearing all of that. Darnell, once again, it's been a total blast. Hope to see you again, and thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you soon.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.